Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi everybody, welcome to New Life Live. Glad you're with us here today. It's a great day because I've got two great men that I admire with me, Milan, Yerkovich, and Chris Williams here today on a fine Monday of March. And I hope and pray that all is going well for everybody here. Hi guys, you doing all right today?
We are, thank you. I am. How about you, Chris?
Hey, I'm with you guys. With you guys, it's always a good day.
Nice.
Now, after this program, we've got another program we're going to be taping, and you can join us for that at 1-800-229-3000. I've got all the calls I need lined up right here today. This weekend, Chris Williams and Steve Arterburn doing the Finding Freedom workshop. And let me tell you something. If you're sitting around wondering, what is this abundant Christian life all about? This could clear up the thing that's preventing you from experiencing that. You know, Chris, a lot of people believe in God. They know God created heaven and earth. They know Jesus is his son. They accept him as their Savior. And also, not only that, they try to follow the way Jesus lived. But that's two parts of the three parts of God, the Holy Trinity. They've never fully understood what happens when the power of the Holy Spirit, along with the truth of Scripture, and faith in Christ, all of that put together, what kind of freedom, what kind of power you can live. And that's what we're going to help people experience this weekend.
I'm so excited for it because what we do is we help really clearly identify the things in people's life that keep them stuck in diminished living, that keep them kind of that are in the way from them experiencing God and their life more fully. Then we provide real healing opportunities and processes, and then ultimately unleashing people into greater growth and maturity. And it's really what we're about. And if you find yourself just stuck in these patterns that you can't break over and over and over again, this weekend is for you. And I would say, don't waste time. You just don't need to waste time. Make the call, pull the trigger on making this decision, and let's get to work on getting you free.
Figure out what it is your fatal excuse is. What is the excuse that has been there keeping you? Do you think, oh, God could never use me? Well, he could. Do you think, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm afraid? Listen, you work through the fatal excuse, you get there, and we're going to help you live a different life. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Call us. It's called Finding Freedom. All right, let's go to, how about we go to the calls and let's talk right here with Connie. New Orleans, Louisiana is where she's calling from. Hello, Connie. How are you today?
Hi, I'm actually from a very small town outside of New Orleans, which is part of the story because I started dating a guy years ago, and which I wasn't interested in, but he led with his faith. He said everything I wanted to hear. So we started going out. And I soon learned, it's not soon, but I ended up learning that he had a problem with pornography and that he acted out in ways that were just shocking to me. And so I got him to go to Every Man's Battle. And I was really looking forward to him coming home because, I had fallen in love with this guy before I knew all of this. And so when he came back, he said, well, they told me I needed to not be around you. Well, I knew what it was because in counseling, he would always go and he would blame me for everything. So anyway, I ended up breaking up with him. And I ended up with PTSD really bad and agoraphobia. I only left my house to go to a doctor visit. So
all right, hold on. We're going to get to the rest of this right after this.
My wife had found me out, and came home one weekend. She had revealed my secret. The only reason I was sorry at that time is because I had been caught. I had had the Every Man's Battle book for years and pulled that book out that weekend and found the phone number on the back and called it, and then a week later I was at Every Man's Battle. It really gave me the start I needed for my recovery. I never had had that opportunity to sit down with guys I didn't even know and totally open up. The good thing was I was opening up to guys I didn't even know. So why did I care? Just lay it all out on the table. I have nothing to lose. You need to check it out. At least go online, check out what it's about, and take the chance and go do it.
If you're struggling, call us. There are people on the other end of the line who want to hear from you, who want to help you. We don't want you to go on struggling, but you got to take that first step. Just give us a call. It's 1-800-639-5433, 800-NEW-LIFE.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. We're talking with Connie. Connie dated a man who went to Every Man's Battle. What happened after that, Connie?
Well, these things continued to happen, and he would always come back if I find out, and I mean he would just cry and get on his knees and pray in front of me, and my thinking was he wouldn't do that unless he was sincere. And these things continued, and so we ended up, I told him I didn't want to be with him anymore, but because I was in such a emotional, fragile state, he said, well, I know that I've hurt you, and he said, let me help you. And so he would come over and, like, mow my grass or bring me something to eat or whatever. And so during that time, well, let me back up for a second.
You're going to need to, you're going to have to tell us what happened here pretty quick so we can help you, okay?
Okay. I had been celibate for 15 years. So he comes over one day. I was in such a desperate state. I had taken some sleeping pills, and I woke up within an hour, and he was on top of me and was having sex. And I was just totally shocked and upset. And so he left quickly and went to our pastor and told him. Our pastor came back and talked to me and said, you've got to get away from him. So I guess my question is, he still leads with all of this Christianity on his website, and everybody in this small town thinks he's just this wonderful Christian. And so 2 years later, I'm faced with, after I've been well from this, to press charges. And I feel horrible about doing it, but, I mean, he's done this to every person for like 40 years, and I almost feel a responsibility to myself and to others.
Guess what? You do have a responsibility. You know something that if you don't do what is the next right thing to do, then it's kind of on your hands what happens after that. There's this concept in the Bible, it's in Ezekiel, about being a watchman. And the watchman, the Bible says, his responsibility was to warn people of impending danger. And it says, and when the watchman doesn't do that, the blood of the people that are killed or hurt, they're on the watchman's hands. And so I really do believe that you, now that you say you're healed, I think it would be such a gift to some unsuspecting person for you to do what would be the responsible thing to do. Now let me ask Milan and Chris, is it filing charges? Is it meeting with the pastor first? What do you guys think is her best way of dealing with all of this?
Again, sometimes we have to put this in a different context to get the clarity behind it. But hey, there's this guy that goes into our house and loves to steal money out of our safe and hidden places. Also likes to steal our debit and credit cards and take money from our account. Would there be, and he does this repeated pattern over and over, even though he confesses how much he's sorrowful. What are we going to do with this guy? He hasn't stopped, continues to do it. Are we going to press charges? Are we going to call the cops?
So the question I'm asking you is, what do you think she should do?
Without question, this needs to be reported to the authorities. Without question, files need to be charges need to be filed. I mean, this is really cut and dry, because again, he can say whatever he wants. His words literally mean nothing. His behavior is the only thing that counts. He could cry
now,
1,000.
the pastor is aware of this.
Yes.
The pastor's aware of this.
Mm-hmm.
Should she talk to the pastor first and inform him, this is what I'm about to do, and I want to know what your response is going to be, since you know.
And he's moved away.
And he what?
He's moved to another church, but I mean, I could still contact him.
He's going to be brought into it one way or the other.
My 2 cents is this: you don't need any consultation to file the charges, other than getting legal counsel on your side. I would consult a lawyer for sure.
Well, and I do think also that what is going on when this occurred, and you called your pastor, and he came over, and he was aware of it, and he was first person on the scene to witness and observe what was going on, and then instructed you to stay away from this man. I think that individual should be told about this, because what you have is, after you call the police and make a report, then I would also hire and find out what type of an attorney could help you with this, with respect to, and what would the police do in response to this? Would they press charges?
Yeah.
Or do you have to
and
hire?
I've done that.
Okay.
Okay, good.
So,
and I actually went and took a polygraph test, and just to prove that I was, from a highly recommended, and he said there was no doubt I was telling the truth. So I have
All
that.
right. Well, Connie, here's the thing. So many men, thousands of men have gone to Every Man's Battle, and they walk away. They're just different. I mean, they're trying to protect their mind from anything. This guy didn't do that. And so there's some really deep-seated stuff there that needs to be dealt with, and it hasn't been. And somebody feeling bad about something is only an indication either of manipulation, or they feel bad and they're saying it to try to make themselves feel better, but it's no indication of them ever being different. So I'm going to send you Healing is a Choice, and I'm going to hope and pray that you could come to Restore or Finding Freedom, just as a way, a way that just might free you even more. Randy, Dallas, Texas, KWRD. How you doing today, Randy?
I'm doing all right.
What's going on?
My wife told me about a month ago that she, in October, went out on 3 dates with a guy and kissed him, and he was wanting to sleep with her, and he was saying something wasn't right, and she told him to go to a doctor, and he went to a doctor and found out, because he's also married, found out that from another time when he cheated on his wife, that he contracted chlamydia. And so my wife was like, see, God protected us.
Wow. Why did she tell you, or did you catch her, or were you suspicious?
No, I was on staff at a church, and we left that church a little over a year ago, and there was a lot of times that I told the church yes and her or the family no, instead of making sure family was priority.
Right. I understand that. And so did you catch her, or did she confess something to you?
Well, about a month ago, she's been very angry. About a month ago, I was sitting in her car, and I just felt God telling me to, I'm a tall guy, but I felt God telling me that I should get on my knees in the passenger side floorboard and ask for her forgiveness for not putting her as top priority. And And then I said, and not only am I asking you to forgive me, but I'm feeling God telling me that I should forgive you. And she said, you don't even know what you're forgiving. And that's when she told me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So the question for us is going to be what here?
Well, since like the very end of December, I have treated her completely different. She said, you've made a 180-degree turn, and she's like, you're like the perfect husband now. I said, no, I'm not perfect. I still make mistakes. But you are going to be top priority. And I've started sending her good morning text and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So my question would be, I've read the book. I recently reread the book, The 5 Love Languages, and the scenario at the end of the book where a wife is trying to bring the husband back in, and the author of the book says, you need to do this 6-month experiment. Well, I've been going...
Okay, but you need to ask us a question that we can help you with. What is it? Because both of you, how could we help you today?
What could I do to help her make the decision to stay in the marriage?
Is she wanting out of the marriage?
Earlier she was saying she was, and I talked to her about a week ago, and I said, because she said she's not feeling it. She says she knows she did wrong, but she doesn't feel remorse.
So, Randy, let me jump in here, because there's something very clear that's not being addressed, and what's being clear that's not being addressed is her behavior, her choices. Now, certainly, I love the fact that you've really recognized some unhealthy and destructive patterns in the way that you've approached your marriage. You said that, she disclosed that God protected us. Sure, but she did not. She's not taking ownership for her part of it, most likely because she's buried behind the pain of the shame that she's carrying inside. And also, affairs have a very, very intense drug-like effect. They can have an addictive effect where it actually transitions a person's reality. Mm-hmm. And if she found something that was this euphoric high in the affair, anything that comes against that is an enemy. And so that's where it has an addictive and so what I would recommend is that you both get into couples counseling, because there's not a love language that you can do on planet Earth that's going to snap her out of that. The only thing that's going to snap her out of that is the reality of her behavior and her choices. And I think that's where you need to address your hurt and pain and anger in response to this, but be able to do that in a constructive way, which would be a great couples therapist.
Milan, your thoughts here?
Yeah, I rarely say something like this, but I'm going to. Love Languages is not the book you need to be reading right now. The book you should be reading right now is Take Your Life Back, which is to understand how your lives have gotten out of control. In that book, there's information on our attachment histories. In that book, there is information about what to do with anger and heavy emotions that so get a hold of us, and also how to forgive and repair our histories. And so that's the book you need to be looking at. And Steve, I think you ought to send him that book, because
I will.
It's all about him trying to get his wife back. And then lastly, you can't get her to come back. You can only make the changes that you know God wants you to make. And if she chooses to come back, that's all you can do.
Randy, here's something that I don't usually say. You need to understand that, you weren't a great husband there. You said yes to the church and no to them. That does not justify a woman having 3 dates with another man. Doesn't justify whatever that was. She told you it was nothing. Who knows what it was? but you need to quit acting like your absence in any way excuses anything that was unfaithful to you. You were betrayed by her. And I think one of the reasons that she's not thinking about coming back or leaving is that there's nothing there. You need to man up here. And that doesn't mean be mean or anything like that. But there's no reading books here. There's going and getting help together. That's what you need to be demanding. And she needs to be getting her own kind of help. She betrayed you. And I feel so sorry for you. I feel badly for her. I feel badly for her. But there's deep, deep work that needs to be done.
Divorce shattered my family. I was very confused about my feelings, which are guilt, shame, and anger.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. I'm just wondering if you're feeling stuck and you're hiding behind a mask, or maybe you're ignoring some pain and you're just not wanting anybody to see the real you. Maybe you're just gripped by fear or guilt, shame, anger. There's grieving that needs to be done. Well, Chris Williams and I are going to be doing the Finding Freedom Workshop. It's a great place to discover how to live a life of freedom, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You'll learn how to overcome your painful past and recognize the habits and behaviors that can lead you to the life God intended. It's time to get free from the rut you're in and experience transformation in your life.
Join Steve Arterburn and Chris Williams for the New Life Finding Freedom Workshop coming to Orange County March 13th to the 15th. To register, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Okay, I'm going to send Randy, Take Your Life Back. And I'm just hoping and praying. I'll send the Life Recovery Bible and a workbook on sexual integrity for his wife. And I'm hoping that he's going to say to her, we have to go get some help, honey. And Milan and I are going to be doing another intimacy in marriage workshop here in July, and I hope that you guys could come. Mm-hmm. We've had people in a lot worse shape than this totally transformed. But you're not going to do it reading a book. It's time to get down to business, and she needs to be held accountable for what she has done. All right, let's go to Lisa. She's calling from Bismarck, North Dakota. Listens online. Hi, Lisa. How are you today? Thanks for holding on there.
Hi. Great.
Hi.
Thank you for taking my call, and I'm going to be quick. I need some
that's great.
manly, godly, some godly advice. I have a son.
Well, I am
who's
feeling
25
manly
years old.
today.
Yeah, I'm glad she used the word manly, too. I mean, that's kind of a compliment. I mean, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he has a broken relationship with his father. So the reason I'm reaching out to you guys is because he's been listening as long as I have and respects your organization. So he's in the Air Force. He's 25 years old. He's about to get out, and he met a girl a month ago. He knows I'm calling in to ask this question, but she had some trauma. Around 15, 16 years old, was raped, left high school, moved in with her father, couple states over, got pregnant, and here we are. My son met her a month ago, and they're starting to date, and she still has about the rape. So that indicated to me that she hasn't had healing. And I've trained him to be a healthy person, but he feels so sorry for her that he likes everything about her, but I'm seeing some red flags. So my question to you three men is, if this were your son and he had told you this, how would you help him understand that she may still be broken and she still may be in need of some therapy?
Okay, I've got some thoughts, but Chris, you want to start us out here on what your advice to the son would be?
Yeah, I think if it was my son, my advice wouldn't be to see her more clearly. It would be to see himself more clearly.
Mm-hmm. Good
because there's this thing called the Cartman Triangle. I call it the relationship, the Bermuda Triangle of relational death, because no one comes out alive. and here it is. At the top of the pyramid, you have a rescuer. At the bottom left, you have a victim, and at the bottom right, you have a persecutor. And so the victim is always the strongest person in that triangle, but what they attract is rescuers. But the person who wants to rescue her, the knight in shining armor that rescues the damsel in distress, it just never works out, because she will stay stuck in her pain or his pain. It doesn't matter which one that is. And then they adopt these roles. And so he has to be the rescuer and she has to be the victim. But that creates this power differential where they can't learn to be together. They can't really learn to understand that there's parts in themselves that are damaged and hurt, and parts in each other. And how do we bring that to the light and talk through that and work through that? And I would just be asking him, what is it about you that wants to rescue her, and help him understand that?
Something?
Yes.
You know what he said to me yesterday?
What was
that? He said, there's a hole in my heart, and he said, God wouldn't have put it there unless she could fill it. And I said, God wants you to fill it with God. He doesn't want you to fill it with her.
Absolutely.
He wants you and needs you to fill it with God.
And Lisa, we all have that hole in us. We're born onto planet Earth in this fallen world, and we all have it. And there is not a single person on planet Earth that will fulfill that. However, there is God himself, people, and ourselves who help fill that hole enough for us to make it through, to live faithfully, to live fulfilled.
Okay. So, Milan, if this was your son, what would you say?
I would say we all have a hole in our heart. We long to be connected because we're made for connection. However, there's this principle in business. It's called let the buyer beware. And he's known her 1 month. And for him to use magical thinking, spiritualize magical thinking, to say, well, this must be of God, therefore he wouldn't have put her in my life, is to actually reinforce an intense feeling he feels right now that is a part of his woundedness. We talk about this in our book, How We Love, the people that have this big hole and they have this insatiable desire for intensity, which they mistake for intimacy. Mm-hmm. And so it's easy to spiritualize it. And I would tell him, let the buyer beware. You don't know her, son. You don't know her history. You don't know what's in all those boxcars. And it's a mistake to jump into something on an intense emotional impulse when you really don't know all the details of what kind of car you're buying right here. What kind of, what kind of a commitment am I making to this timeshare? Let the buyer beware. Mm-hmm. And now, we don't do enough homework here.
What was his rank in the military?
He's an airman, and I think it's three.
Was that like a sergeant, lieutenant? What? It's not a private, right?
Well, he's a no.
Way above that. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I got a couple of thoughts.
Okay.
Got a couple of thoughts for you after the break. Okay. I might be a little more manipulative than these guys, but so we'll talk about that codependency in me.
For
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Lisa, a couple of thoughts here. I would be saying to him, I might start with this. I'm so proud of you that you have a compassionate heart. You've been in the military. You have a heart for other folks. But honey, a heart that is compassionate, it needs to be protected. God tells us to guard our hearts. And so I would have a question for him. Who are you going to? Who are you connected with to help you to continue to guard your heart? Because you just walked out of the military where everybody ordered you around. All of a sudden you walk out. Now you're not taking orders from anyone. In fact, you can be a hero to someone. And
Wow.
This person that you have compassion for, this could be an amazing thing in 2 years or a year. But if you fall into this, knowing that there's healing that needs to be done, protection on your part, it could be a really negative thing versus one of the greatest things ever for you and her. So, honey, I want to encourage you that you get with a male Christian counselor to walk you through this and help you with this. I'll help you. And let's don't forget, sometimes when someone goes through what you went through with your father, you've got a hole that's a father wound, and that can lead us to want to rescue and help somebody. And there's nothing wrong with helping somebody, but you want to be sure it's right time, right motives, and it leads to restoration, not to a person going from victim, which they do, to a persecutor. This is the thing that he doesn't see. An unhealed victim starts to persecute. For instance, she might think, all I got to do is marry this guy and all my problems are over.
Right.
Then she marries him and all of her problems aren't over. And now she starts to blame him for every problem because she thought marriage to this guy was going to fix it all. So my encouragement would be affirm his heart, encourage him to protect his heart, and get with a male counselor that could help him. And then I'm going to send you Milan's book, How We Love, a great book on insight, that will give him insight. And then I'm going to send you this Life Recovery Bible, and I'm going to give you the workbook that goes with it that's going to help you as you him to go through it. Okay, so hope all of that is helpful.
And Steve,
anything else you guys want to add?
Yeah,
Chris,
I just want to
go
add
ahead.
one quick thing. Just this is for all the rescuers out there, because us Christians love the rescuer role. The rescuer is typically trying to rescue themselves, their hurt, small, scared self, through somebody else. It'll never work. You got to confront your own pain.
Yep. Very, very good. All right, let's go to Maria, Downey, California. She listens on KKLA. Maria, how are you, and how can we help you today?
I'm good, thank you. I'm just wanted to get some feedback from you guys, or some things that I would want dearly. My husband, he's very verbally abusive. So, for example, yesterday, he found out that my daughter had an Instagram account, and he really went off to me, to her, and he ended up punishing her. His punishment is facing the wall, and he basically.
How old is your daughter?
Pleading with. She's 12. I was pleading with him.
Okay.
I was pleading with him to, that I think that's severe. He had her from 9 p.m. to 3 in the morning.
I'm sorry. What was that? He what?
He left her standing from 9 p.m. to 3 in the morning.
Oh my gosh. That's horrible. A 12-year-old girl standing from 9 to 3 a.m. in the morning against a wall?
Yes.
Oh.
And I was trying to leave, but he told me that I'm making it worse and that it's my fault why she's facing the wall, because I'm pleading with him for him to be more caring and to understand the damage that he's causing her by doing that to her. So, I don't know, how to go about it. I don't know what to do in this anymore, because I'm, basically tired. He gets mad at me and he punishes her to hurt me.
Well, first of all, I'm glad that you called us. Secondly, what have you said to your daughter since that incident?
Well, I didn't send her to school because she was tired. She said her back hurted. So she's sleeping at the moment. When she wakes up, of course, I need to speak with her to see how she's feeling or what can I help her with. I mean, I'm lost for words because it hurts me.
Okay. So first of all, guys, what do you think she should be saying to her daughter who's still at home? Now, the husband's not there right now, right?
No, I'm actually shopping, but I'm in my car right now.
Okay.
I mean, he's at
so what do you think?
Sleeping. He works at night.
So now she's at home with him.
Yes, and with my oldest daughter.
How many
How's your oldest daughter?
19. She's from a different father. I remarried 12 years ago. Well, 13 years ago, I'm sorry. And I had a daughter by him. So, yes, now I'm just wondering if I should just leave him for him to get help, or I don't know what to do.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to start with you, Chris. What do you think should happen here?
Yeah, Maria, the first thing you need to do is, well, let me start this. You need to understand that this is child abuse.
Yes, that's what I told him.
Okay. And therefore, this needs a higher level of intervention. And we're talking about child protective services. However, in that protection, because of his anger, because of the measures that he's already gone through, shows me that this is a very, very dangerous person. And so I want you to be able to get safe with your daughters, away from him. That is priority number one. And so looking at what are the resources in your area, the women's shelters, maybe there's church resources, But there are community resources there in and around Downey that can get you safe.
Okay.
And then the second thing is you need to call Child Protective Services.
Okay.
And if not, again, the people at these centers can help you with that. They can guide you and walk you through that process so you're not trying to do that just on your own.
Okay.
See, Maria.
I will do that.
Maria, your husband is so dangerous, intimidating, and dangerous that when this part of your husband shows up, you become a little girl too.
Yes, because I've been through the same thing with my father.
I so am sorry about that and respect that, but you see how you're allowing your children to, by staying, you're allowing your children to have that same experience you did.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, and I would call the police as well.
Mm-hmm.
I would call the police. They will also call Child Protective Services, but someone showing up at your door with a shiny badge on their uniform puts the other person on notice that we're not going to do this anymore. It starts a legal paper trail, and it begins to document a process. But Chris is absolutely right. The number one thing you have to do is make your family safe. If your husband goes, and what we mean by that is, and let me be very explicit, your husband goes to work at nighttime. When he comes home, nobody's there.
Okay.
Nobody's there. You and the two girls are gone.
Mm-hmm.
You've packed your bags. You've found shelter elsewhere. You've called the police. They will have in turn phoned Child Protective Services, and you're going to start a very challenging process of healing and recovery. But one of the things you're going to show both your girls is we're not going to put up with this anymore.
Right.
When we've tolerated the intolerable too long, what will happen to your girls is, just like you, they'll grow up and just do the same thing.
This will change everything for the future of your children. If you get off the phone and you don't do anything now, you're teaching them we are not valuable enough to stand up for what's right. Mm-hmm. And no person that's a healthy human being would ever say it is right for a child to stand against a wall from 9 to 3. That's what they do in prisons, to torture people. You must not allow that ever again.
She said, we need to talk. She's asked me for the first time if I would consider myself a sex addict. You know, I thought it was just about admitting the things that I had done wrong. I never had a clue that it was about redeeming our story. You know, I thought it was just about coming clean on what I had done. I had no idea how to help her with her pain. She was a mess, I was a mess, and we got divorced. Going to EMB, surrounding myself with these other men, they accepted me for who I was and what I had done, but they challenged me to step up and do better. You know, they'll be around other men who are not just pointing the finger, but willing to get in and wade through it with them, you know, get in the trenches. They'll get hope from this workshop. Take my sweet wife and my story. We were divorced, remarried, and on our way to what I think will be the sweetest years of our lives. You know, it's no longer simply about surviving. For the first time ever, you know, we're thriving, we're enjoying where we're at.
Hey, listen, if you're struggling, we want to see you at the workshop. Give us a call, 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the Transformation Welcome Gift, which includes a personal-sized Life Recovery Bible, a Life Recovery Journal, and 5 Life Recovery Workbooks. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops.
I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's been immensely helpful to me. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back. Steve Arterburn here. And, you know, we just come to these times in our lives where we have to be the adult. And if we don't do the right thing, people will suffer all of their lives. This man needs help. And we'll pull for him, and we'll hope all the great things for him once he gets that help. But until he does, it is up to Maria to get the help that she needs so that these daughters will, and herself, can have a healthy future, a healthy outlook. All right, I'm going to go to my final caller. I wish I could get to everybody, but I can't. Rose from Washington, D.C., listens on WAVA. Rose, how can we help today?
Hi, thanks for having me on today.
Yep.
I'm calling because I'm having trouble mothering my stepson. I'm a new mom. My husband and I, we just had our own baby last June, and beforehand he was a single father. And so when we got married, I stepped into parenthood much sooner than I had expected. And I'm trying hard to be a good mom, and I love all my children very much, but my 10-year-old stepson has some problematic behavior, and it really gets under my skin, and I find myself being harsh with him at times in my reactions. And I know he's been through a lot dealing with the divorce of his mom and dad, and this year he's having some trouble in school, and so I want to be as empathetic and supportive as possible, but also hold him accountable. And so over time, I've lost my patience, and I feel myself not wanting to engage with him anymore. For example, he likes to get a bedtime hug every night, and I do it, but I just feel like my body wanting to repel away, and I feel guilty because even when he's upset with me, he still calls me mom and loves me unconditionally. Yeah. And when I'm really upset, I just want to step away altogether.
What does your husband say about this dilemma that you're in?
You know, most recently when we talked about it, he said, because my thing is, if my newborn were to have these problematic behaviors, I don't think I would be this harsh. I don't think that I would want to step away at all. And I'm thinking, okay, am I playing like mental favorites, emotional favorites with my kids?
What does your husband say though?
He says that, you know, you might feel differently about your, stepkids versus our biological son, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's a bad thing. I don't know. I feel like it is.
And that fixes everything, doesn't it? When he says that, right? That just takes care of everything for him to make that statement. No, it doesn't. So what you have to do is ask him for you guys to do something different than you're doing. Trying harder, it obviously hasn't helped, has it? Chris, your thought and then mine. What should they do? I think this is so common in blended families.
Yeah, I think you said it well, Steve, and I know that you've been through this experience, but blended family is incredibly challenging. It's and we don't know oftentimes how to put the right feeling in the right place and the difference between what's biological and what's step. But here's the bottom line, Rose, is that you're overwhelmed. You're overwhelmed with being a new parent. You're overwhelmed with this blended family. And that whatever the 10-year-old is going through is sort of like the tipping point. It's like the last drop that spills everything out. And so, and in his struggle and how he's acting out. Now, you want to be loving and kind and empathetic, which is fantastic. But you can't because there's too much going on and you need help. And that would be the message that I would want you to give to your husband. Now, he might be feeling overwhelmed, and oftentimes, when some people, especially men, feel overwhelmed, they tend to check out. But you guys need to confront the overwhelmed, but check in with each other. And this is where Milan comes in.
Milan, your thoughts here. What do you think would be the most helpful thing that they could do?
That was quite a baton pass.
Yeah,
Chris.
yeah. Tag you're it, man.
Masterful.
Well, here we go. First of all, Rose, I empathize with your position to be 29 years old and to have all of a sudden 3 kids, and it's a lot, and it's very overwhelming. I refuse to use the term blended family because blended is code for some good mixture, and they're not. As Chris said, blended families aren't necessarily good mixtures because you have a lot of things going on from previous relationships. I prefer to call them step families, and the parents make a choice to love each other, and the kids get pulled into it whether they want to or not, and whether you want to or not. Love supersedes good reasoning sometimes. I would go to a skilled family therapist who can help, and a couples therapist, and someone that really understands the whole thing about step families. And I would really process through how hard this is. I agree with Chris. You're overwhelmed, but his behaviors, and I've said this, if I've said it 100 times, I've said it whatever, to many crowds and audiences, the bad behavior of a child is an immature language of hurt. And so to be able to find out what that immature language is on the inside, and you're right, your son's been through a lot. And so he's going to act out in ways that are just not fun for you and don't feel great.
So here's the thing. You've made the decision. You put the families together. And I was preaching this weekend or so ago, and I was saying, in so many cases, putting families together is a really bad idea. You think, oh, this is going to be so wonderful, and they see it as a hostile takeover or a hostage situation, and it's difficult. To think that you're going to come up with on your own a way to handle this when there's a behavior problem is really naive. And I think you honor God, you honor your marriage and the children when you say we've got to get help beyond here. And that's what I want you to hold on. I'll try to get that help for you and anybody else. You can find help by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now, we've had some phone calls where people have made some choices and everything has changed. They've had to, we've encouraged them, leave, get some major help here, protect your children. And that's why we're here, and we're here because people have supported us. If you've never supported us, well, even if you have, a gift of any amount, I'm going to send you a brand new series, and it's called our Growing Closer to God series. It's a series of videos by myself and Alice, Becky, Chris Williams, and it's Come Near to God. We want you to get closer to God to handle whatever challenge that you have, and we'll send that to you as our way of saying thank you for a gift of any amount. Also, if you join Club New Life at just $30 a month, I'm going to send you a transformation kit that if you don't need it, somebody else, you'll be a hero. It's a Bible, a life recovery Bible, 3 million of those out there. With the workbook alone, has sold over 500,000 of those workbooks. And then there are 4 other new workbooks to help you go through the Bible, grieving or developing sexual integrity, dealing with that weight problem that you've struggled with, or healing from divorce. All of those come, and in addition, there's a journal. The Life Recovery Journal takes you through 4 seasons of recovery. This is a dynamic transformation kit. 7 products we send to you. It's like a transformation library, and it's our way of saying thanks for joining Club New Life. Would you join the club? $30 a month. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. My thanks to Milan and to Chris. And I pray for each of you out there. I thank you for what you do for us, but I pray for you that this will be a day where you'll do something that will make your life and someone else's
Thanks
better.
for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. Thanks for watching New Life Live on our New Life YouTube channel. You know, you can see it anytime. Hope you'll subscribe, and when you do, hope you'll turn that little button thing on, the bell, so that whenever we post a new video, it'll ring right through. Now, if you go to newlife.com, you'll see the schedule of when we're in the studio, which is helpful to know if you have a question for the program, or you could go to newlife.com or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You could do this on the app. I mean, there's so many ways that you can stay in touch with us and know when we're there, because we want to answer your questions. So thanks for watching right here on the New Life YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Click here to subscribe.